Hello, here's another custom Lego boat by me. This one originally this project was planned to become another smaller container ship. And I started with the superstructure for it, and it just wasn't going in a direction that I was happy with. So I took the superstructure that I had off the preformed boat hull from Lego that I was using, and I tried it on different boat hulls. I tried it in different configurations, a forward bridge, a standard aft bridge, and it just wasn't working at all. So I took off the superstructure by itself again, looked at it, and let it tell me what it wanted to be. And I built a boat from that. Reconfigured the superstructure a little bit, changed the shape and the proportions a bit. But I think that it is very happy being what it is now, which is a push boat. It's kind of like a tugboat, except designed primarily to push things. So these typically would push things like barges and such. So it's got the big old push bar in the front. This one has a custom built hull. The front of it is, the bow of the hull is built in all four primary directions. So you've got some right side up building. You've got some on the side building here. You know, this is in from the left. The other side is in from the right. You've got some building facing towards the front there. And you've also got some facing towards the underside, some upside down building for the curved section that's out of the water. So this is intended to be a waterline model, which is something that I really like to be able to do. Can't really do so well with most of the preformed Lego boat hulls that are available, but waterline model means that it's only the stuff above the water, you know, so it doesn't include the full depth of the hull. So in real life, this thing would go deeper. And I've angled the whole thing back. If you're looking at this bottom line here, which would kind of represent the water line, you're wondering why it's staggered like that. It's so that the whole thing will have some rearward rake, which is just something that I've observed in these types of boats in general. They tend to appear to angle back when they're not actually pushing something. I don't know the exact reason for that. Obviously, there's a big heavy engine in the back, but you know, they could just adjust the buoyancy for that. I'm sure there actually is a reason for that, but I just personally don't know it. I should probably ask somebody I know who actually used to pilot tugboats, at least. He would probably know. Well, I didn't, so I just did what looked right to me. The outer casing for the smokestack has some miscolored parts just to represent a little bit of wear. You know, that just hasn't been repainted as recently as the rest of the stuff, or maybe they didn't use the correct type of paint, so it's starting to come off. And this does have some interior detail. I've put most of the focus on the exterior again, just because, you know, that's what's going to be on display for the most part. Ooh, I did use some old gray, a bunch of old gray actually, because this was originally going to go onto an older preformed hull, which had an old stone gray deck. But I just stuck to that. You know, these are a lot of extra pieces from some of the classic space sets for the most part that I've gotten. Some of them that I've taken apart. You know, I've gotten extras kind of separate from or in addition to my full collection of ones that I've had before. So, you know, got to put some of those pieces to use. Did some different things, tried some different building techniques than I've done before, and just generally had a jolly time with the whole thing. Let me take off the top here. This one is gonna, no, it didn't take the door with it. I thought it was gonna take the door. Usually it takes the door, but this is just a very tight tolerance in there, but I'll go ahead and take the door off now. Maybe that'll make it a little easier for you to see inside. Yeah, see, there's a little bit of a control panel up in the front. The captain here, the pilot, has a seat that he's able to sit on, and I'll just go ahead and pull him out now, because there's his wheel, and he's got a little control, you know, just changing things up. That is an older printed piece on the right, newer printed piece on the left. And the two pieces in the center are old gray parts. So this is an old gray classic space era, actually probably more like town related seat. I think the classic space stuff didn't use gray seats like that very frequently. But this guy just barely fits under there, so it's able to, you know, bring the roof down just over his head, and that's easy. You know, it only attaches with 2 studs, this one stud over here and then this one stud over there. I actually did not put anything into the compartment directly beneath the bridge. That would just be storage, so at some point I might just throw a bunch of stuff in there to represent a mess. However, this does have an engine compartment built into it, though the draft, or at least what is built above the water line here, is shallow, if you will, but was able to fit some detail under there. Let me give you a better view of that. Got a V6 marine engine in there. Took a little bit of inspiration from some pictures of an old, some old Mercedes engines that I found online. It even has a little bit of exhaust that's piping back towards the rear, which kind of comes up in the direction of the smokestack area. So that's just nice to have, you know, a little extra detail in there. Very small amount of space, vertical space at least, to fit that in there. And actually, the way I ended up building this thing, I really built the, you know, like I said, I did the superstructure first, and then I started building the hull from the front, the push bar and the front corners, and then just put in enough structure to hold the stuff that needed to be there. So it's actually not solid on the underside at all. This may shock you a little bit, so fair warning. It's kind of hollow, but it's sturdy enough. See, it has just enough stuff under there to accommodate what's above. I didn't really care that much. You know, I care about what you can actually see, kind of in a Lego official set kind of way, you know. But at least there isn't any camera unfriendly angle of this that you would expect to be able to look at. I'll need to come up with some more minifigs to go with this. I do feel like this push boat is a little bit on the large side for my cargo harbor. You know, it's not going to fit in very well. Maybe I can just have it docked off to one side, but it is rather large. I feel like I do still need to make an actual tugboat, you know, not a push boat, but one that is smaller than this, to go a little bit better with the scale of ships that I'm doing that are actually going to be brought into that harbor. Oh yeah, this is another very old piece here, this flag piece. I'm glad to finally have been able to use one of those up. It's kind of fun actually mixing new and old pieces together, a lot more fun than I expected. Long time ago, before I got back into brick-based stuff, I got really annoyed with the changeover from the old grays to the new grays, and I started to actually purge a lot of the old gray stuff from my part collection back when I was doing just Bionicle stuff and then eventually Hero Factory stuff. And that's okay. Fortunately, I didn't end up needing or wanting to use the older gray pieces, but now I'm glad that I actually have a full drawer of extra old pieces, plus old gray pieces, plus I have, you know, other old pieces that have just been collected over time of various colors, because it's fun and it's different. You know, you can tell the difference if you put this into an actual layout. You can tell the difference even here between the door and, you know, the higher grip decking area and such. It just has a little bit different feel to it. You know, you compare and contrast, mix some things together, and it just allows you to do some stuff that I think is pretty cool. So that's that. That's my push boat. I am very happy with how it turned out. It's not perfect. I'll probably add detail to it over time, you know, kind of to taste. But for now, I like it. I like it very much. I really like push boats. So to have one in Lego at all is really what makes me happy. More so than the fact that it's custom, or, you know, kind of the work that went into this as a custom build. I'm just more happy to own the finished result here. So that's that, and like I said, it's not quite properly scaled to my harbor, so I'll figure out some way to integrate it. Right now it won't fit, but once it does have a place to fit, then I'll show you it there, as well as other stuff as I do it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your support up to this point, and I'll talk to you again soon.